Okay, well, as promised, here I am with an MLS Wrap Up. I thought the books behind me make me look smart, but I thought I'd dress it up a bit with some football jerseys. So we get into the mood here. Alrighty. Okay, getting on with it. So the first game was obviously the Thursday night match. We had Toronto FC, who are hosting the MLS Cup final this year, hosting the Philadelphia Union, the new boys, and it was a pretty tight game. Obviously the biggest talking point of that match is the Califf Red Card, and honestly, it's a clear-cut red. There are people out there who may or may not be doing videos for MLS Net who seem to think it wasn't a red card. It was a red. You can't put your arm up like that, hit someone in the face, especially when they're just going to go clean through onto the goalkeeper and not expect to get a red card. I think the keeper probably would have had it. There was no pressure there, but that's a red card. That's violent conduct. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Califf. And then obviously, that really cost Philadelphia the game, in honesty. Goalkeeping, huge mistake. He saw that ball all the way, and then to drop it right at the feet, to drop it and then have the goal go in is just shocking goalkeeping. And the other controversial moment in that game, the penalty. Honestly, I think it's a penalty. I think the player, the goalkeeper's gone down. He's caught the man. He's left his arms in there when he didn't have to. I think if the defender does that, there's no argument that it's a penalty. And it was a clear-cut decision from both the centre referee and the assistant. I think that's a penalty. Yes, Toronto won poorly. It was a bad win for Toronto. They should have done a lot better. I think Philadelphia came out the better side from that match. Toronto 2, Philadelphia 1. So to move on now, the biggest game before the weekend was always going to be the rematch of last year's MLS Cup final. Los Angeles Galaxy taking on Real Salt Lake. There's a chance for Los Angeles to get some revenge. They have been absolutely on fire this year, Buttle in particular. And Real Salt Lake, they were always going to struggle. It was always going to be a difficult match for them. They've had, they played 120 minutes midweek, and it was always going to be tough for Real Salt Lake. But they didn't disgrace themselves. They didn't get thumped, and LA, stayed perfect. Buttle once again is just absolutely on fire for LA. It's just been absolutely amazing, and he's won the Player of the Week award this week, and he's really knocking on the door. Will he get a World Cup spot? I don't know. Will he win the Golden Boot? Probably not, but he's there at the moment. We'll see what happens. And LA, they're missing Beckham. Will Beckham come back and be as good as he had been for LA? I'm not so sure about that. He's an older guy. But do they need him? I don't know if they really do. San Jose have won two games in a row now. That result was 2-1 to LA, by the way. San Jose, 2 wins in a row now against New England. Completely different year for them. They really struggled to win 2 games in a row last year. This year they've racked up 2 in a row. 2 second-half goals for them. It's a different year. Could San Jose be pressuring for the finals? Who knows? We'll see what happens. It's a long way to go in the season yet. But 2-0 win for them against New England. Move on to the strugglers, the 2 teams who are going to struggle in the Eastern Conference, DC United and Chicago, and this was always going to be a huge game for the sides, and Chicago came out on top. A 2-0 win for Chicago. It's huge. DC United are in huge trouble. No wins, absolutely no wins, no goals. They are struggling. They are really struggling. And it's going to be tough for them. They've got not getting a crowd, and the only good news for them is that they've got an AC Milan friendly coming up. But if they're still playing like this, come that time, I don't know how much that's going to help them. So 2-0 win for Chicago there. Move on to New York now as we stay in the Eastern Conference. New York's hosting Dallas at the wonderful Red Bull Arena, and they are absolutely loving it there. It's it's going to be a great ground for them. And it's great for football, or soccer, I should say, in New York. Dallas were really unlucky. They played really well, and it was a late penalty. I think everyone with the organisation is saying, within New York, is saying that New York were lucky to win this match, and they were. But that's what you do. You make your own luck sometimes, and Dallas will be disappointed with that loss. But just amazing goalkeeping from New York, and we'll see how they go. They're having a much better year than last year. They top the Eastern Conference at the moment. It's New York 2, Dallas 1. So now Robertson Stadium, Houston Dynamo versus Chivas USA. Chivas have had a terrible record against Houston. They've lost 9 games straight against Houston Dynamo, and Robertson's been particularly bad for them. I think, really, honestly, Chivas should have gone into this game feeling confident. Who cares about history? Houston played really poorly against LA last week, and then they're missing a lot of players right now. Brian Ching's out, Landine got the red card last week, and up front they really didn't seem like you didn't know where the goals were going to come from. It was true last week, it was, you expected it to be true this week, but Houston just absolutely tore Chivas apart. Chivas looked like a USL side compared to Houston. A 3-0 win for Houston, and perhaps the most amazing goal of the week for Houston. Houston's second goal was just absolutely amazing. If you haven't got a chance to see it, do try and see it, because it was absolutely incredible. Great strike from distance. The camera couldn't even keep up with it. So a great goal. For me, it's my tip for the goal of the week. But we'll see. Lavelle Palmer, his first start for Dynamo. Great goal. It's got to be a shot for goal of the week. And Seattle as well at home. So 3-0 win for Houston. And Seattle as well at home. Kansas City played really well. I think a lot of people would probably expect Seattle to just walk this game. But Kansas City played really well. Late winner for Seattle. First goal for Fuchito is a stoppage time winner. Enough for Seattle, 1-0 at home. They're tough to play at home. It's a plastic pitch, the crowd's there, the crowd's right into it. Seattle's a tough place to go and win a game. And, they're just, so Kansas City can be proud. It was a 1-0 loss. We'll see how it goes. And Sunday night, we had Colorado hosting Toronto. It was always going to be a tough game for Toronto. They played on Thursday in Toronto, then had to fly out to Colorado. It's difficult, and a penalty fest was the result. Colorado winning 3-1. 2 penalties for Colorado, 1 for Toronto. It was never going to be a great game. Toronto were always going to struggle. And they haven't really shown much, Toronto, so we'll see how they go. If they keep playing the way they're playing, they're going to struggle. They've got a couple of results on the board, but not much. Anyway, that's it for this week. I will see you next week for another wrap-up. Just having a look at the table, LA Galaxy are just absolutely dominating the Western Conference at the moment. They're 12 points from a possible 12, but the group behind, you've got Colorado, Houston, and Seattle all on 7. It's really getting tight. Toronto's win didn't really help them at all. They are still second last in the Eastern Conference. They didn't get above Philadelphia. And DC United they've scored 2 goals, but no points. They really are struggling. 11 goals conceded just isn't good enough at this stage of the year. So hopefully for DC United fans they can lift, because it's a really big struggle for them from here. Even now it's going to be tough for them. The New York Red Bulls, of course, topping that conference with 9 points from the 12. So they'll be pretty happy with how things are going. It shapes up to be a big year for New York, and they need to have a big year. So I'll see you next week with more from the MLS. Bye.